Good morning, Burt.
Hi, Elaine. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. It's nice to see you. I appreciate you spending 10 minutes with 52 today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. It's interesting. Maybe next time you flip the model and spend 52 minutes with 10. No, that actually didn't work. I tried.
I was actually thinking about doing 10 minutes at 10 with 52,
Nice.
but I felt like by 10 o'clock, a lot of people kind of already started to do their thing. They're with their kids, they're working. I felt like it would be too much of a disruption. So 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock seems just a little too early.
Yeah. No, I think you're probably right.
Yes. I know that you've got some great stuff to share, so I want to go ahead and get started. My name is
Right.
Elaine Che. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at 52 Limited, which is a creative and tech staffing agency local to Portland, Oregon. Today we have the amazing Burt Rosen. I can say that you're amazing because we've known each other for almost a decade, and having worked with you, I know that you are brilliant, kind, compassionate, and a really funny guy. So I'm just excited to spend 10 minutes with you and you can share your thoughts about marketing with the greater Portland.
Well, thanks, Elaine. So, first of all, Elaine is known to be a pathological liar. So, just people need to know that up front. But, like she said, we've known each other for a long time now, which is actually amazing to even think about it, probably 8 or 9 years. And Elaine is, um, it's a mutual admiration thing. Like, I think Elaine's amazing too. So, if you don't know Elaine, you definitely want to meet Elaine. She's incredible. So a few things. I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes. Well, I'm not only going to talk for 10 minutes, but these are just my thoughts, right? So if anybody wants to talk further or have questions, I am completely reachable. I love talking to people. So find me on LinkedIn or anyplace else, and I'm happy to continue the conversation. I guess the first thing I wanted to do was I'm not going to give you my bio, but I wanted to explain a little bit like why am I even talking about this topic and do I have any credibility in the space or am I just pulling stuff out of my butt or the air, whichever you want to use. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to curse, so I'm going to be a little careful. So I've done a lot of brand work in my life. I've branded, I've rebranded, I've extended brands, I've developed brands. It's a passion for me because as a guy in marketing, what I care about more than anything is people. And brands for me are all about understanding the people who you're trying to work with or trying to sell to. So it's been something that I've been very focused on for a long time. I'm actually such a believer in brands that everything I do is brand related. So and this started for me a long time ago, even back in the late 90s. We were working on a spin-off for Delta Airlines called Song. If anybody's on the East Coast, you may or may not remember that airline. But we said we weren't going to do direct response, we were going to do branded response because we believed so strongly in the brand for Song that everything we did, even if it was trying to get someone to buy a specific ticket, was always going to have a brand feel, leave people feeling branded. So let's get into it pretty quickly. We're going to try to show you guys a bunch of video, which will be fun on Zoom. Hopefully we don't have any technology issues, but we're going to give it our best shot. So let's just talk about brands, right? So for me, the definition of a brand is it's pretty simple. It's the emotional connection established between a company and a customer. So personally, I'll tell you my two favorite brands are Apple, because by using Apple, I feel like I'm a little bit different. I feel like I'm a little bit more creative. I feel more like an individual. And Jeep. And I own a Jeep Wrangler and like I love the Jeep Wave and I'm completely into the outdoor stuff. And like those are two brands that really speak to me and they really speak to me because it's who I am as a person and I feel the emotional connection with them. And despite the fact that I think neither one of them does a great job keeping me engaged or loyal, I'm engaged or loyal because I like what their brands stand for. So I wanted to do that as a little bit of context and just say, but how do you actually build a brand when the world is upside down like it is now, right? It's completely, stuff is messed up, right? We all know that. And when you do try to brand now, how do you stand out? How do you talk to people in ways that are interesting? And then how do you talk to people about the things that they need and that in ways that really resonate with them? So what I wanted to do was kick this off with a quick video clip. I watched a movie recently for the second time called The Big Sick. I don't know if people have seen it or not. It's great. It's kind of rom-comish, but a little bit more serious. But Elaine, if you want to queue up the first one, this is really about listening and understanding what your customers want.
Welcome to Quick and Hot. Can I take your order, please?
Yeah, can I get a burger with 4 slices of cheese?
4 burgers. Anything else?
No,
sir?
1 burger with 4 slices of cheese. 1 burger with 4 slices.
Sorry, we can't do that.
Just put 4 slices of cheese on a burger.
We can't do that. There's no button.
Who the fuck is this we, man? Who the fuck is this we? It's me and you. We're just people. Fucking listen to me. Fuck this corporate entity. Put 4 slices of cheese on the fucking burger.
Okay, we could probably stop it there.
What the fuck is...
So I guess I said I was going to try not to curse, and it wasn't really me cursing. It was more of the character in the movie cursing. But my mouth sucks, so it's going to happen. But I just, as I was watching this movie last week or 2 weeks ago, it was like, oh my God, for like every time I want to explain to people brands, this is the greatest scene to talk about brands, right? Like the guy is trying to get his needs met, and the guy on the other end isn't listening to him at all, and he's just telling him what they can do with their corporate policy. So I kind of love this clip, and I'm now actually going to use it to death, to the point that at some point somebody will say, Burt, I've seen it 10 times, don't show it to me again. But I also think it's really funny. And like I said, I think the movie's really good. So with that as context about listening to people, one of the things that I think we're seeing a lot of right now are people are really making the pandemic about themselves, not individuals, but companies. So I was on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, and I saw some CEO post about how he's not taking a salary and instead he's donating his salary to XYZ. And as I was reading it, my cynical side said, if you were really trying to do good for the world, you wouldn't announce that, right? Like you don't need to announce it. Like you should be doing it because it's the right thing to do. But by announcing it, you're trying to manipulate people to think, oh my God, what an amazing person. And that stuck me a little bit. And then the other thing that stuck me, and we're going to show another video, and we won't keep this one for very long, but there's a reel on YouTube now that's called All COVID Ads Are the Same. And when you watch this reel for, I don't know, 30 seconds or so, you'll see they all have somber piano music playing in the background. They're all scenes of people or scenes of empty streets. So Elaine, do you want to show that one quickly? Okay, so we can probably stop it now, but I'm sure everybody who's listening to me drone on today has seen some ad that looked exactly like that, right? So again, what's interesting about it is all these companies are trying to tell you all the things they're doing for the pandemic, but what they're not doing is they're not reacting to what emotions you might be feeling. So, I'm waiting for the company to come out and say, hey, Burt, we know you're sitting at home, you barely shave, you may or may not shower before 9 in the morning, you probably haven't put on long pants in 6 weeks. And talk to me like that, because that's who I am and that's where I am. But most companies right now are telling you who they are and what they're doing. And for me, at least, all those things are getting lost in the sea of sameness. I want to show you 2 that I think have done a good job of standing out. So the first one, I'm a little bit sports crazed. So I watched the NFL draft. For anybody else who watched it, you probably saw this. But I thought Bud Light did a really good job acknowledging the environment we're in, but speaking to the people who are actually watching the NFL draft and not just giving the generic somber music pitch. So let's show that one.
Traditions are important, now more than ever. And while I considered skipping this one, Bud Light reminded me it just wouldn't be the same.
So I thought when I saw that, it was like, good for you, Bud Light, right? Like you took Roger Goodell, who's the commissioner of NFL football, you put it in front of the draft when sports fans are watching it. And it's like every year in the draft, every fan boos him. Fans hate him. So every fan boos him. So they acknowledged it. They acknowledged the audience. They really thought through what's going to resonate with the people watching. And they aired that commercial. And I thought that was a great job. The next example I want to show you quickly, because I know we're already out of time, is the Uber ad. And now the thing I'll say about the Uber ad is it does look prescribed like all the other ones that look the same. But for those who haven't seen it, oh, thanks, that's a good idea. We could start it almost all the way through. But for those who haven't seen it, what Uber did, which I think was really, really smart, is Uber said, don't use us. They said, don't go out, don't use Uber right now. So if you want to play it, you'll just see the end. And even though it was the same, people on their own, looking out windows, smiling babies, like all the same emotional stuff, the end, right, says stay home to take care of those who can't. And thank you for not riding Uber. So again, they acknowledged the situation we're all in, and they spoke to it. And even though, the creative is very much the same as a lot of other creative, at least the message was completely different. So I guess it's 9:11, so my 10 minutes has become 11 minutes quickly. But I guess the last thing I would just leave you with is, be different, right? So understand the audience, look at humor as an outlet, because we're all making jokes about this thing all day now. Understand humility. So don't tell people how, honestly, this is what I wrote to myself, don't do shit to show other people how great you are, focus on what they need, and really use some of those things to be different. So with that, I'm gonna shut up because it's 9:12.
Thank you, Burt. That was awesome. I enjoyed all of the videos. I thought your words were right on, like always. We need a little bit of humor, and we need our brands and our marketing to be true. And it's okay to be funny at this point, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mike Pendergast says, thanks to us both. It's a great way to start our day. And thank you, Mike, and everyone else that attended 10 Minutes with 52 Limited today. And thank you, Burt, so much for sharing your knowledge and letting me see your wonderful face.
No, that was really, really fun. And like I said before, if anybody wants to talk about anything or bounce ideas, I'm always reachable. So I'm happy to do that. So thank you for whoever's on for watching.
Thanks, Burt. Have a great
Thanks.
day.
You too, everyone. You too, Elaine.